What if the very fabric of our financial system, our political landscape, even our daily interactions were silently woven into this really complex hidden network?
It's a huge thought.
It is. And today we're taking a deep dive into some, well, truly audacious claims that suggest exactly that.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to unpack a pretty unique set of sources. They all come from one individual, Grinaldo Aguirre, and he presents this detailed narrative of what he calls a criminal network.
With Goldman Sachs at its alleged financial core, right?
Yeah, it's his claim. He says he exposed this network using a database he calls Elon Musk's GeoIndex and also his own system, the Spy Hell pipeline.
Okay, so we'll be exploring his personal experiences, this intricate web of connections he alleges. I mean, it ranges from high finance and government all the way to surveillance techniques and, well, some deeply personal harassment claims.
It is probably good to put a note in here right at the start.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. Our role here, just so you know, is to guide you through these claims as presented in the source material.
Right. We want you to understand the full scope of the narrative, the specific details provided.
But without us endorsing any particular viewpoint, we're just laying out the information from the sources. So let's get into it.
Okay. So Aguirre's story, it sort of kicks off with his background. He's worked in finance and tech. And a key part of his claim is that he possesses this thing he calls Elon Musk's database, which he says documents financial crimes.
Okay. And the narrative really picks up steam after he tried to file an HR complaint at Google for what he termed reverse discrimination.
Exactly. That involved two people, Michael Shepard and Hila Becker.
Right, and this is where, from his perspective at least, things get a bit strange. Aguirre claims that Shepard then faked being gay.
As a crisis management technique, he calls it, supposedly orchestrated by this wider network he talks about.
Wow, okay. And he also brings up this idea of plants within the network, claiming Hila Becker specifically had no skills but a high rank.
Yeah, and needed support from, real skilled people like Shepard to advance. He seems to think Hilo was the more significant plant there.
Interesting. So shortly after this Google complaint happens, he recounts being moved to Goldman Sachs.
Right. And he believes this was a deliberate move with two purposes. First, get him out of Google, maybe head off a potential lawsuit about the whole Shepard and Becker thing. And second, to help his former Google manager, Mayor Thakur, who is now at Goldman Sachs. Aguirre suggests Thakur was, struggling to develop a system called Neon.
Neon, and Aguirre describes that as a search engine for espionage.
That's the phrase. Designed, he says, to index internal communications, documents, maybe even stolen global data. Pretty serious stuff.
Very. And the job offer itself, the way he describes it, sounds, dramatic. He says he was making around $450,000 a year at Google. Goldman initially offered $750,000. He refused. Then they bumped it up to $1 million a year for a managing director role.
A big jump.
Huge. But here's the twist he highlights. The written offer initially left out that $1 million figure. He says he had to insist they put it in writing.
Okay, that's unusual. But the really crucial moment, according to Aguirre, came next. He claims Goldman Sachs, specifically naming Adam Korn, put out a press release on Business Insider announcing he was joining them before he'd actually accepted the offer.
Before he'd even resigned from Google.
That's what he says.
Right.
Then his Google manager, Yuhua Wu, apparently confronted him, knowing he was leaving because of the press release.
Wow. So he felt cornered.
Exactly. He says he felt he had no choice but to accept the Goldman offer. He sees it as a forced move, basically, to reduce Google's legal risk from that earlier HR situation.
And the money side didn't get simpler, did it? He mentions the $1 million compensation, $400 K salary, $600 K bonus.
Right. 60% cash, 40% stock for the bonus part. But the stock, he alleges, came with some, let's say, tricky conditions.
Like what?
It vested over 4 or 5 years, which is pretty standard. But the catch, he says, was you could only sell the stock 5 years after it vested.
Wait, so stock vesting in, say, 2020?
Could only be sold in 2026, a really long lockup period after vesting.
That's quite a delay.
And Aguirre claims that after he eventually quit Goldman Sachs, citing harassment, the firm actually reclaimed his vested stock.
How could they do that?
Well, that led him to try and take legal action. But then he ran into an arbitration clause, limiting his options. And here's another layer. He claims his own lawyer, Mark Sirach, was essentially paid off by the network.
Paid off how?
With real estate, Aguirre alleges, to basically work for Goldman Sachs during the mediation process.
Resulting in a settlement that damaged Aguirre.
That's his claim. He calls it pure fraud carried out through the legal system itself.
Okay, that's quite the foundation for his claims. So now let's try to unpack this web of connections he identifies.
Right, and he constantly refers back to these tools, Elon Musk's GeoIndex and his SpyHell pipeline.
These are the systems he says identify the network and flag individuals.
Yeah, for him, these aren't just concepts. They're data analysis systems supposedly revealing these links.
And the reach, he alleges, is pretty staggering, right? Into high finance, government.
Absolutely. He claims numerous Federal Reserve officials are flagged in his GeoIndex. We're talking Chair Jerome Powell, Vice Chair Philip Jefferson, Governors Lisa Cook, Michael Barr, Christopher Waller.
Oh, flag.
All flagged, he says, and interacting daily with Goldman Sachs, allegedly as part of this network. It paints a picture of, well, an attempt to weave together financial and political power.
And it goes beyond the Fed. He mentions political figures with dotted lines to the network.
Yep. Names like Pam Bondi, Marcos Rubio, Senator Ted Cruz, Pete Hegseth come up.
And Scott Bessent. There is a detail about a property in Charleston.
Yeah, 5 East Battery. Aguiar calls it a mini compound. He claims properties next door were bought just to set up communications because Bessent's main address was supposedly a reserved channel for intelligence.
Which Bessent, not being intelligence, couldn't use. That's the idea.
That's Aguiar's interpretation, yes.
Then there's Louis DeJoy, the former postmaster general.
Right. Aguiar notes DeJoy retired about a week after he posted DeJoy's name online. He suggests DeJoy was pulled from power.
And this leads him to suspect mail interception, particularly his own court documents.
Yeah, he raises that possibility, connecting it back to DeJoy's former role at USPS.
Okay, so the alleged core seems to be Goldman Sachs, but the network's reach, according to Aguiar, is vast. Let's dig into the specific Goldman insiders he claims to have interacted with.
Quite a list. Marco Argenti, CEO DJ Solomon, who, yes, apparently also DJs.
Right, I remember that detail.
Both flagged. Jim Donovan is called an important player with links to the political side.
And who are the key people in his direct experience there, the harassment claims?
That centers on Scott Weinstein, his direct manager. Aguiar accuses him of intense physical harassment, claiming it led to an ER visit and that he has email evidence.
Wow.
And Cineo Strain, who is Weinstein's manager, is accused of working with Weinstein on this alleged harassment.
Then there's Michael Schlee.
Schlee was Mayor Hakur's manager, supposedly responsible for that Neon system, the espionage search engine we mentioned.
Got it. And Adam Korn.
The one Aguiar says orchestrated the press release to force his move. Andrew Phillips, Korn's protege, is also flagged.
Okay. Any others stand out?
Leo Brio, a Venezuelan managing director, Aguiar's system supposedly co-clusters him, groups him algorithmically with SEBIN, the Venezuelan intelligence service, and Diosdado Cabello.
So Aguiar sees Brito as Cabello's representative inside Goldman.
That's his interpretation. And of course, Mayor Hakur, his former manager, who supposedly needed help with Neon.
It's a tangled web already. Any other names linked to Goldman and his claims?
A few more. Francis Tianaros, Charles Elkin, an Amazon exec and Python expert, who Aguiar believes was strategically placed to interact with him.
Strategically placed.
That's the implication. Also, Teo Ne Win, grandson of a South Asian dictator. Srinith Maikara and Shubhankar Datta, linked to Neon development in India. And even Michael D. Fekovich, who wasn't at Goldman, but is co-clustered with them in what Aguiar calls the spy community of Lake Point Estates.
Lake Point Estates, that comes up again. He lived there, right?
For nearly a year, he describes it as a spy-planned community, even a spy school. Phil Denning was the HOA president there.
And there was something about a neighbor, Daniel King Everett.
Yes, owned the house diagonal to Aguiar's. Aguiar makes this really specific claim. He says Everett's facial features are similar to David Malero's.
David Malero. Okay, we'll come back to why that name is significant later, particularly regarding the vasectomy claim.
Exactly. Aguiar suggests maybe Daniel King Everett is David Malero. If true, he argues, it would tie Goldman directly to that alleged incident.
He even mentions his own travel records. Zurich, Bangalore, Vegas, San Francisco. Some apparently coordinated by Goldman execs as potential corroboration if Malero's travel could be checked.
It's incredibly detailed. And the alleged network extends far beyond these individuals. His system flags other major entities.
Like Warren Buffett.
Yeah, supposedly flagged. Aguiar attributes Buffett's success to knowing about this network.
And media outlets.
Business Insider and Benzinga are co-clustered as propaganda machines used by the network, he claims.
Law enforcement links too.
Lieutenant Jonathan Solomons, NYPD, and Denise Felipe Adams reportedly related to NYC Mayor Eric Adams, allegedly involved in stealing info from Aguiar's key opinion leaders, tech, via someone named Nelson Lara.
It keeps expanding. Google comes up again, and startups.
Alvaro Gutierrez, a Google engineer, allegedly involved in IP theft from Aguiar's Calculato Health startup. Aguiar says Gutierrez was later hired by Goldman Sachs under him.
That's awkward.
To say the least. Jillian Walsh is accused of causing physical harm. And Addison Landry is named as an alleged fake roommate in NYC.
Even prosecutor Jack Smith.
Aguiar claims Smith is an epicenter of harassment, surrounded by thousands of agents, and that properties co-clustered with Goldman Sachs show up around him with statistically unusual frequency. He calls it a repeatable pattern of a criminal enterprise.
This is a lot. What else is flagged in this Geo Index?
Vanguard, the investment company. He claims they win because they're marked in the index. Mark Andreessen personally marked.
Content delivery networks.
CDNs.
Akamai, Neustar, Limelight, which got renamed. Amazon CloudFront, Cloudflare. He alleges these are critical points for man-in-the-middle attacks.
Intercepting internet traffic, basically.
That's the idea, for espionage.
Yeah.
Even GFL, a waste management company that analyzes trash, and its CEO, Patrick Dovagy, are flagged.
Analyzing trash, wow. Election tech.
Smartmatic gets mentioned, co-clustered with David Plouffe, Obama's former campaign manager.
Political figures in other countries. Mexican figures like Lopez Obrador and current President Claudia Sheinbaum, with an alleged Panamanian shell company tied to her. VOA News, the U.S.-funded outlet past members allegedly flagged, suggesting information control.
Is there a geographical cluster for Brazil?
Yes, a Brazil cluster. Rui Lopes, Google, Susana Aguiar, SAP, Luis Andli, Accenture Brazil, Wincom, SAP Brazil, Accenture Brazil. He links them all to Travis Kalanick and the alleged Calculato Health IP theft.
Just keeps going. Any other notable names or groups?
Mario Federello, a Venezuelan psychoanalyst allegedly working for Seven. Edith Perez, also Venezuelan. O'Connor Associates, flagged for supposedly helping launder money via super high property tax refunds. Sanadaic in San Francisco, Rajan Patel, NavBoost inventor at Google, ZoomInfo, the company and CEO.
It's almost overwhelming. What about local connections? He mentioned Katy, Texas.
Yeah, he claims Katy ISD police cars and firefighter trucks were seen parked at houses flagged by his system. He implies local first responders are somehow part of the network.
And Ramon Sanchez.
Allegedly Cuban origin, ex-NASA engineer. Owns a company called Controlled Networks that Aguiar claims can assign phone numbers and reroute cell traffic, making it central to the network's operations.
And finally, a baseball player.
Jose Altuve, yes.
Right.
Flagged in the index. Aguiar claims Altuve interacted with him through Jose Castillo, an alleged Seven agent.
And gave him a check.
Yeah, which Aguiar believes is evidence because of fingerprints. It's quite the collection of claims.
It really is. Okay, let's shift to the methods. The alleged surveillance and manipulation techniques he describes.
Right. He talks about something he calls Moscow-style surveillance. It involves his neighbor, Ryan O'Sullivan.
The one at 26706 Valleyside Drive.
That's the one. Aguiar alleges this neighbor performs fake cutting grass on concrete specifically,
Right.
to create an auditory cue, a signal, for someone in a house behind O'Sullivan's. That house supposedly has an Xfinity tap aggregator connected to Aguiar's internet line.
A device on the internet line, and the signal is too.
To start intercepting his digital communications, TCP/IP packets, using military-grade hardware, but only on demand. He claims this minimizes the chances of FBI backtracing.
And he contrasts this with how the NSA might do it.
Yeah, he calls this method silly compared to, say, NSA methods. He also describes cars parked Moscow-style under heavy surveillance, he implies, near these Xfinity aggregators on public streets in Katy.
And the number of cars means something.
He claims it correlates with the importance or risk of the agent living nearby. He gives an example of a police officer's house with an aggregator outside having multiple cars parked near it.
Okay. Then there's the satellite imagery marking system, he alleges.
This is fascinating. He theorizes that common landmarks like water tanks are used as visual markers on satellite images.
Water tanks, like the ones near Discount Tire Cinco Ranch or Lake Point Estates.
Exactly. Or one near a consolidated communications facility protecting certain properties he names, including one where houses were allegedly removed from maps.
Removed from maps. Okay. So how does this marking system work?
He talks about Google Maps images being made of tiles. Like, level 17 tiles are 152 meters square. He claims the network has a computer system that classifies objects within these tiles, water tanks, running tracks, etc.
To do what?
To quickly find important locations and people marked near them on the map, Water tanks work well because they provide a ground marker and height for observation, he suggests.
And running cracks, too?
Yeah, like one near FM 1463 and a Cinco Ranch apartment complex. He called that complex a key operational base for Diosdado Cabello and Xi Jinping.
Cabello and Xi Jinping, wow.
He says the track's pristine condition and specific colors, like orange, are important for high-precision computer vision classification.
Are other structures used?
Basketball courts, large flat markers. And the City Escape Gym, a tall structure useful for marking and elevated observation.
Okay, so visual markers on satellite maps. What about physical mail?
That ties back to Louis DeJoy. Aguiar suspects USPS might be intercepting his court mail for his divorce, restraining order, his federal lawsuit causing him to miss court dates.
And personal items being bugged.
Yeah, he claims his Google Pixel phone, even though shipped directly from Google Fi, is bugged. Same for Stanley water bottles he bought on Amazon.
Bugged with sophisticated devices.
That's the claim. Sophisticated bugs.
He says he saved some of these items to give to the FBI as evidence.
This is intense. The final set of claims are extremely personal, aren't they?
Yeah.
He calls them standardized procedures.
They are, and deeply disturbing. He talks about receiving information from an informant about a forced vasectomy.
A forced vasectomy.
Yes, and he connects this to his own experience, recalling inexplicable bruises in his pelvic area after he had plastic surgery. These weren't near incision sites, he stresses.
So what's his theory about the bruises?
It's chilling. He believes the bruises were deliberately created to mask the pain from the vasectomy.
How'd that work?
The idea is the target feels pain, sees the bruising, and assumes the pain is just normal post-surgical bruising pain, so they don't realize they were actually sterilized during the procedure.
And why plastic surgery? He suggests it's strategic. Plastic surgery carries a bit of a taboo. People might be less likely to talk about it or report strange symptoms to authorities.
He even suggests a way authorities could investigate this.
Yeah, track prominent plastic surgeons making over $1 million a year who are flagged in his system, and cross-reference patients reporting similar unexplained bruising or pain.
That's a very specific allegation. And then there are claims involving his former partner.
Right. He describes her behavior changing suddenly after he posted a video discussing David Molero, that name again, and the vasectomy claim.
How did it change?
She allegedly started talking about removing claims that he's crazy from their divorce proceedings. Her lawyer apparently suggested settling out of court.
And Aguiar interprets this as
a desperate attempt to stop this information from becoming part of the official court record.
Then there were text messages.
Yes, subsequent strange text messages from her. Aguiar believes they were designed by a lawyer to make him look controlling or like he was trying to harm her.
Like a preemptive defense against his public claims?
That's how he seems to view it, yeah.
Wow. We have certainly navigated a truly intricate deep dive today, exploring these extraordinary claims about a vast network. I mean, allegedly infiltrating everything from high finance and government right down to local communities and, well, extremely personal lives.
It's a lot to take in. Aguiar's narrative, built on his geo-index and spy hell pipeline, definitely paints this picture of pervasive influence and very calculated control.
It really does. And it leaves you, the listener, with some profound questions to consider, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In an age where data is power, where our digital and physical lives are so interconnected, how do we possibly discern truth from manipulation?
That's the core challenge, isn't it?
And it's a huge if based on these claims, but if the very infrastructure of our world can be used as a tool for some kind of hidden agenda, as Aguiar alleges, well, what does that mean for our sense of security, for our understanding of who really holds the reins of power?
Definitely something to think about.
Absolutely, something to mull over as you move through your day.